On May 18, 2023, a Reddit user shared a disturbing discovery from inside the walls of his own home. While rerouting ductwork and removing an old central return vent in the hallway, he uncovered a hidden painting wedged tightly between the studs. The painting itself was unsettling. It depicted a pale figure with long orange hair and a matching unbrushed beard that stretched down past its chest. The figure's eyes were nothing but hollow black voids, giving the impression of being watched, but with no expression at all. In the corner, written in faded black ink, were the words, "Fredrick 1972. What made the discovery even stranger was the fact that the painting seemed intentionally hidden. Around the frame, bits of insulation had been carefully packed to keep it in place, almost as if someone wanted it sealed away and never found. The poster insisted that in all his years living there, he had never heard the name Fredrick, nor had it ever come up in his family's history. To this day, the true story behind the painting, and why it was walled up for more than 50 years, remains unknown. On August 2, 2017, a woman named Flora was cleaning out her family's old vacation home when she made a chilling discovery in the attic. Hidden beneath a heavy box, she found a scratched and heavily worn Polaroid photograph. At first glance, the picture looked almost completely black, the surface scarred with deep gouges as though someone had tried to destroy it. What made it especially disturbing was the handwritten text scrawled across the bottom. "Do you see him?" While the image was too damaged to make out clearly, Flora claimed she could only faintly distinguish the outline of what looked like a house. Others who looked at the photo later swore they could see a figure hidden in the darkness. Whether this was simply imagination or something truly captured on film remains uncertain. Even more unsettling was the way it had been hidden. The photo wasn't just lying around, it was wedged beneath boxes, as though someone had wanted it to stay out of sight. The fact that it sat there for years, in the shadows of the attic, only adds to the mystery of who left it behind, and who him was meant to be. A woman named Clara and her husband were renovating their bedroom in a Victorian-era house that had long since been converted into flats. While pulling up the old floorboards, they uncovered a plaster death mask hidden beneath the wood. The mask depicted the face of a middle-aged woman. One eyelid was slightly open, suggesting the cast may have been made after death. The facial features were otherwise plain, with no eyebrows and no distinctive markings to indicate who the woman might have been. On the back, there was only a small hook, the kind used to mount objects on a wall. What made the discovery especially strange was its location. The mask had been placed directly on gravel and soil under the floorboards, with nothing else around it. There were no markings, no notes, and no explanation as to how it ended up there. The mask's origin remains unknown. Clara admitted she wasn't sure what to do with it. Keeping it felt wrong, but discarding or selling it felt just as unsettling. To this day, the mask's presence beneath the floorboards remains unexplained. On July 3, 2017, a man's parents were moving back into their rebuilt home after it had been destroyed by a tornado the year before. While unpacking boxes that had been in storage during reconstruction, they came across something neither of them recognized: an old doll. The doll was unsettling in appearance. Its painted face was worn and chipped, with wide eyes staring blankly forward. It wore a faded brown outfit fastened with small brass buttons, its fabric stiff with age and dirt. The arms and legs were discolored, the material cracked and mottled, giving it an almost decayed look. Most disturbing of all was the fact that the family had no memory of ever owning it, nor could they explain how it ended up packed away with their belongings. The family chose to keep the doll, though none of them felt entirely comfortable with it. It remains in their home as an object without an origin, a reminder of the tornado and the strange discovery that followed. To this day, the family has no explanation for where the doll came from or how it survived the tornado and ended up in their home. On January 1st, 2015, a man discovered something strange while exploring the crawl space beneath his parents' home. Carved directly into the wooden floorboards were the words, "Help me." His parents had lived in the house for more than 25 years, yet none of them had ever noticed the carving before. The letters appeared old, their edges worn down with age, suggesting they had been there for decades. The origin of the message remains unknown, and the discovery has sparked a number of unsettling theories. Some believe the carving could have been left behind by a previous resident in genuine distress. Others have speculated that it might be linked to something paranormal, a ghostly plea from whoever once lived in the home. A few family members even wondered if they themselves had carved it during childhood, though none could remember ever doing so. To this day, no one knows who carved the words or what their true meaning was. A couple visiting a relative were invited into the home of a woman said to struggle with severe mental illness. What they found inside was something they would never forget. Throughout the house were life-sized human figures, each one constructed by hand. They were made from fabric, clothing, and padding, with wigs placed on their heads and faces roughly shaped with plaster and paint. The craftsmanship was crude, but realistic enough to be deeply unsettling.
No more babies. We'll spoil one, that's about it. You just can't stop looking. That's nothing.
According to the visitors, the woman did not see these figures as decorations. She treated them with reverence, speaking about them as if they were real. It was suggested that she worshipped them, and that her fixation had been unusual enough to draw outside attention. Some even mentioned that her creations had been documented in local writings and small publications. Those who later saw photos of the figures described the home as having a liminal space quality, a place that should have felt ordinary, but instead left people with an overwhelming sense of unease. To this day, little is known about the woman's background, or why she devoted so much of her life to building these fabricated human figures. In March of 2019, a couple who had just moved into their newly purchased home made a disturbing discovery in the living room. Beneath the sunlight streaming through the windows, the wooden floorboards revealed a dark, unmistakable stain in the shape of a human figure. The outline was chillingly precise. The discoloration formed what looked like a head, torso, arms, and legs, all proportionate to the size of an adult body. The stain appeared to have seeped deep into the wood, darkening the planks in a way that ordinary cleaning could not remove. When the couple asked the previous owners about it, they claimed to have no knowledge of the mark. Some neighbors speculated it could have been the result of a fire or chemical spill, while others whispered that it was left behind after someone had died in the home, the body having lain on the floor long enough to leave a permanent impression. Attempts were made to clean and restore the floor, but the discoloration never faded. The outline remained visible, no matter what was done to it. To this day, its exact cause has never been determined. A family who had just purchased a new home made a disturbing discovery in the basement. On the inside of a heavy door, the paint was covered with deep scratches surrounding the doorknob, as if someone had desperately tried to claw their way out. The marks weren't light or accidental. They were concentrated around the lock, layered and uneven, suggesting repeated attempts over a long period of time. To the new owners, it looked less like wear and tear, and more like evidence of someone being trapped inside. A few days later, a follow-up inspection of the basement revealed even more unsettling details. Under one of the basement windows, the family noticed several small footprints on the concrete floor. Some appeared to be left by shoes, while one was clearly barefoot. All of them were small enough to belong to either a child or a small adult. The prints weren't imprints from poured cement, but rather stains on the surface, as though something had been pressed into the concrete years earlier. Examining the door again, the owners also noted deeper dents around the knob and fresh scratches on the frame. Records showed the door had been installed when the house was built in 1980. The home's previous owner was an elderly doctor who had passed away the year before, and while his wife confirmed they had owned a small dog, the markings were far too high on the door to have been left by an animal of that size. To this day, no one knows for certain what caused the scratches or whose footprints remain beneath the basement window.